Albania's capital might not be one of the world's sporting capitals, but it is home to one of the most spectacular stadiums going around, as well as a few less spectacular ones. So here are the stadiums and arenas of Tirana, Albania. Stadiumi Selman Stamasi. In case you couldn't figure it out straight away, stadiumi means stadium in Albanian. I know what you're thinking, I didn't need to explain that. Yes. When you take a look at the pattern on the seating, you might assume that the club that plays here wears a checkered shirt. But no, none of them do. At least they got the colours right. Speaking of the clubs that play here, for a while, Dinamo City, these guys, were forced to play in another city because KF Tirana, these guys, own the ground and the two clubs couldn't come to terms. They are arch rivals after all, so it must be a little bit humiliating for Dinamo City to play in a ground that is not only owned by their rivals, but also named after one of KF Tirana's club legends. During the communist era, this ground was actually named after Dinamo, so there has clearly been a reversal in fortune somewhere along the line. Either way, playing here certainly beats playing in another city. It is an interesting stadium. Not quite as interesting as Air Albania Stadium, which is comfortably the biggest and most technologically advanced stadium in the country. It's situated next to Mother Teresa Square, on the side of Stadiumi Kemal Stafa, which basically serve the same role as this one, hosting the national team first and foremost, but also hosting a bit of domestic football. Part of that old stadium was actually preserved, that being this section here, which they had to disassemble before constructing the new stadium and then reassemble afterwards. You almost certainly notice the rather large tower in the corner. It's a 112 meter tall hotel, one of the tallest buildings in the city. Speaking of hotels, the mosaic walls throughout the stadium's interior are somewhat reminiscent of the wallpaper you might see at some modern hotels. Whether you like it or not, it's certainly unique. It contrasts the stark red seats nicely in my opinion. Oh, and if you're wondering why a country with a Muslim majority has a Mother Teresa Square, well, she was ethnically Albanian, although born in nearby Skopje, which is today North Macedonia. As you probably know, she really made a name for herself in India, playing in the Indian Premier League. Aslan Rusi Sports Palace. This is a bit of a step down from the last one, although it also has an interesting exterior, just in a less spectacular, more traditional way. The interior though is a good reflection of the fact that no indoor sport comes close to the popularity of football in Albania, especially when compared with some of their Balkan neighbours. This is the largest indoor arena in the city, yet it only has seating on two sides of the court. At least it has a big flag. You know, that's a plus. Stadiumi Kamez. Kamez is a town on the northwestern outskirts of Tirana, rather than Tirana proper. However, it's in between the city and the airport, so I'll include it. Much like the last one, there is no seating at the ends, just along the sidelines. One end is bordered by a bit of a garden though, which is nice. That's not all that borders the ground. As you can see, there is a mosque just outside the bounds of the stadium, so a match might occasionally be interrupted by the call to prayer. I actually have some real life audio of what a call to prayer in Albania sounds like. See, that was the daytime guy, he had the voice of an angel, but the morning guy sounded awful. Continuing the two-sided streak, we have Arena Adamava. Partizani built their training complex and main stadium on what was a military base, after obtaining a 99-year lease from the government for a grand total of €1. That is the most nominal of nominal fees. And yet when I drive an excavator onto a military base with a €1 coin in my clenched fist, I get shot at. How's that fair? Anyway, it is fitting that they built the ground here because FK Partizani have historically been associated with the military. They play most of their games here, It's just the European games and the derby games that are held at Air Albania Stadium. The only way in which this place is better is the mountain backdrop. Sure beats wallpaper. Surprisingly, Parku Olimpik Feti Borova, the smallest venue by far, is the one that brings that two-sided streak to an end. It is a fairly new basketball arena that was built as part of a greater sports complex on the site of a former sports complex. The construction features plenty of timber on the outside and within, which I'm always a fan of. Same goes for the vast amount of natural light that flows into the arena. There's also a decent sized video board at each end, so yeah, it is tiny, but the amenities are pretty good. Certainly a lot more advanced than the arena we saw earlier. And those were the Stadiums of Tirana. Thanks for watching, have a good one.